Thanks, Claire. And what great to see a overcrowded LRC meeting yet again. I spoke at a meeting yesterday and was reflecting on the past year, but actually the past 2 years have been some of the weirdest political developments I've seen in my entire life. And actually they get weirder and weirder and weirder as time goes on, because one is, I think many of us have spent our lives speaking at meetings of 2, 3, 5 people and being told by those elsewhere in our movement, actually people don't go to political meetings, they're not interested in political meetings, and you've got to find other ways of doing things. Who'd have thought that Jeremy Corbyn would be the leader of the Labour Party and that John McDonnell would be the shadow Chancellor? Who'd have thought that the LRC would be able to turn these meetings around like this? And the past year has been particularly interesting. I reflected on last year's Labour Party conference compared with this year's Labour Party conference. And I spoke at the Campaign for Labour Party Democracy review last year on a day when I think a lot of us felt we'd been stitched up in some of the procedural debates. I witnessed some running of a conference that we wouldn't allow in my union of how to run conferences, and I think many of the rank and file delegates felt that they hadn't really had their say. And I have to say it's a remarkable turnaround this year in terms of the confidence and the enthusiasm of delegates and the willingness of delegates to get up and challenge the chair and make their case and argue their corner if necessary. And that needs to be built on. I think it's fascinating also to see. I had to leave the hall towards the end of the session, but was it all right that Tom Watson did lead a chant of old Jeremy Corbyn? Well, as I say, weird things get weirder and weirder and weirder. But it's very welcome to see. And Sadiq Khan, again, full of praise for our elected party leader. However, I have to say that I don't think we can forget other sides of what has happened over the past 2 years. Because, of course, we elected Jeremy Corbyn, and then we had to go and elect Jeremy Corbyn again. And we had to elect Jeremy Corbyn again because, and there's no rewriting this out of history, there was a coup launched unfortunately by people within the PLP who wanted to effectively overturn the democratic decision of the members of this party. And the truth is that actually it took a mass mobilisation of ordinary Labour Party members and ordinary trade unionists to ensure that we defended the party leader, and that when the eventual re-election campaign came, we made sure that he won an increased majority, and that was a fantastic campaign to see. And I have to say, in terms of, because we're often told by the great and the good that, you know, they're all very skilled at politics and so on, and their message, if you think about it, was if we get rid of Jeremy Corbyn, we can save the party and we can save ourselves from destruction in the general election. And never has a perspective been proved so far removed from reality as that one. Because the truth is that without Jeremy Corbyn, the dire predictions would have been. The dire predictions about Labour's performance would have actually been fulfilled, and we would now have a much stronger Tory government. So it's Corbynism, the mass movement that he unleashed, that actually delivered the successes of Labour's campaign in the general election. And I also think meetings like this, again, we can. It's great to cheer ourselves and what we've done, but I think we also have to think about all the different challenges, risks that we face, because politics isn't a straight line. Politics is going to be difficult, and we, on the left, have to discuss what do we need to do now. What do we need to do about getting organised to make sure that the gains that we have made are defended, the gains that we made are built on and taken further in the coming period. I think the LRC should play a leading role in that process. And the first of those is about the party membership for me. I just wanted to make 4 quick points here. That we have, and it was reported today in the Treasurer's report, the numbers, hundreds of thousands of people joining a radicalised Labour Party. That is absolutely fantastic, when again, the great and the good and political pundits have been telling us for decades that people don't join political parties. So we've just completely proved these people utterly wrong. Hundreds of thousands of people who want to come in, because they want to see political change in this country. And we need to build on that, and I think we should set targets. We should be out there campaigning to draw more people in. We want a party of 1 million members. 1 million members organising in every workplace, in every community and in every street, so that everywhere people look, the local community leaders who are organising on housing, or organising on industrial action, or organising against the cuts or to defend the NHS, we want Labour Party members to be leading those struggles, so that when people look, who do you want to be your councillor? You say, I want that person because I know they stand up and fight for us. And they're the sort of people we want to see in Parliament. They're the sort of people we want to see in councils. We then have to take forward the question of Labour Party democracy, because the struggle for Labour Party democracy, I think, has only just begun. And let's take one which is controversial in sections of the media, the question of the position of MPs. And I for the life of me, don't understand why this is quite so controversial. Because the truth is, whether your name's Jeremy Corbyn, or John McDonnell, or Tom Watson, or anyone else, you do not become a Labour MP because your name is John McDonnell. You become a Labour MP because local Labour Party members chose you to be the Labour Party candidate. So therefore you have an obligation. Yes, you have an obligation to your electorate, but you also have an obligation to the party that allowed you to be elected in the first place. And we shouldn't apologise that. And the idea that someone should be elected as an MP at 27 or 28 and think they've got a job for life, frankly, is ridiculous and doesn't belong in this century, in my view. I think we should take up the question of those people who have been suspended or purged from the Labour Party. Labour Party organisations that have been shut down, and excessive delays in due process being heard. Clearly, if people have clearly broken the rules of the party, there will be disciplinary processes to take account of that. But I think what we've seen goes far, far beyond that, and deep down we all know that, so we need to take that up as well. And then we need to discuss politics, because I think that the value of what Jeremy Corbyn has unleashed is the idea that people can start to think for themselves what sort of politics they want. Instead of being told that actually all this is going to be designed by some spads, and you will then be told what politics are acceptable, actually, why can't we think for ourselves how we want to run our own housing estates, how we want to run our schools and our hospitals, and what we want to see in terms of democracy in the workplace? Those sort of ideas, we should be discussing those, and we should be developing our own ideas on those. And then I think we also have to be aware of the scale of opposition that we will face in this. I think there has been a disgusting and disgraceful, relentless attack on Jeremy Corbyn and John McDonnell and those around them in the media that we all know about, and it's appalling. But the truth is this: I think it will get worse. It will get worse the closer we come to the possibility of a Corbyn-led government. So we need to prepare for that. And what lies behind that? What lies behind that, I think, is something that Laura touched on. The idea that those in power, and when I mean in power, I don't mean sitting in the House of Commons, I mean the people in the banks and the boardrooms who make real decisions that affect the lives of millions of people. Those people who pull the strings that make governments make decisions. Those people will never simply give up their power without a struggle. So we have to prepare for that struggle. and a Corbyn-led Labour government will face huge hostility from people high up in the civil service, from the media, from big business, and the only thing that they will have to fall back on has to be not just people in Parliament, and hopefully we will have a big majority in Parliament, but it can't just be that. It has to be a mass movement outside of Parliament as well. But I think, so these are words of warning, if you like, but they're not, I'm not being pessimistic at all, because the truth is, many people thought we couldn't build the sort of movement we've already got. And you've proved them wrong. You've proved them wrong. And members, ordinary people around the country, ordinary Labour Party members have proved them wrong time and again over the past 2 years. And that is a fantastic inspiration that we should all take hope from. And that gives us the hope that actually we can build further on that. That when the mass of people see a government, see people in Parliament who are really willing to stand up and fight for them, and a movement developing around them, demanding that that programme is implemented, then we will see emergence of a movement on a scale that we haven't seen in many decades, if at all. And I think the final point I'll make is, I attended a meeting yesterday where we were discussing priorities for a socialist Labour government, and you know, a few years ago, I think you would have been seen as a bit weird if you even went to a meeting about the possibilities for a socialist Labour government. And the fact that we can even discuss it is absolutely fantastic, because it is what Jeremy Corbyn and this movement have touched is deep anger and deep frustration at what is going on in this society. And the idea, we may all have different ideas about what we mean by socialism, by the way. And there's nothing wrong with debating that. But the very idea that we can start to discuss what sort of society we want and what we mean by socialism and what sort of socialism we want to see, that in itself is hugely inspiring. It's about building a society that is based around human need and not the profit demands of a tiny minority. It's socialism. Thank you very much.